Hey, it's good to hear that music on this Wednesday afternoon. That means it's time for Helping Seniors of Brevard, heard every Wednesday, 12 noon to 1 o'clock. I'm John Harper. Jim Votrillo's here. Let's get the show underway as we introduce the host of the show and the executive director of Helping Seniors of Brevard. Here's Kerry Fink. Kerry?
Hey, thank you, John Harper. Always good to be here on the radio on Wednesdays. And wow, what a great week we have been having. I'm literally fresh in from our Florida Senior Appreciation Day with AARP. We've all been out at one senior place having a great time. Helping Seniors is right there with lots of great resources. And of course, your car raffle tickets there as well. In fact, Nancy and the team are going to be there until 1 o'clock today. So if you're anywhere near Viera, you are welcome to pop into One Senior Place for that. And, you know, it's just a busy week in the world of helping seniors. Tomorrow, we are going to be at the Brevard Commission on Aging, and that's an important group that meets together once a month under the auspices of the Brevard County Commissioners. And there we are advocating for seniors. And in fact, one of the things you're going to be hearing a lot about is that this group has put together the 2026 Brevard Senior Needs Survey. And so if you go to our website, helpingseniorsofbrevard.org, there's a button you can click on that says take our survey. It's actually a survey that we're doing in connection with all of our friends who are dedicated to helping seniors, folks like Aging Matters in Brevard, Health First, Rhodes Law, Dr. Potomsky, who is actually the chair of the Brevard Commission on Aging. The goal is for us to get as many seniors to take this survey between now and the end of September. And what we want to do is compile all that data and take it to all the government leaders in our area and have them get a real sense for what seniors are reporting, where more work could be done to make things better for seniors. And then if that's not enough, as we keep going along this week, we are going to be having our very, very popular Scam Jam on Friday at we're going to be working together with the Brennedy at Melbourne, which is actually in Viera, if you will. That is a sold-out event, but you can call us. I'm going to give you the number and see if there's any cancellations. We've been doing these, moving these around the county. They're exceptionally popular and powerful because we get everybody. Corporal Brianne Lewis from the Brevard County Sheriff's Department is going to be one of our speakers. We have Greg Schwendeman, who's an elder law attorney who actually focuses. They're building part of their practice now at Rhodes Law, helping folks who may have been involved in scams see if they can recover. It's very difficult when it happens with these guys who are like overseas, but oftentimes scams are perpetrated by somebody like even inside the family and things like that, and they have been effective in those cases. So Greg Schwendeman is going to share the top 10 scams that seniors run into there. And then we're very fortunate actually to have Karen Civitate, who is with she's the lead Florida volunteer for ARP Brevard. She's going to be sharing on the things that are going on that ARP sees. They run the big ARP Fraud Watch Network. They are like watching this nationally, internationally. She's going to bring us updates for that. And we even have a lady, Mary Friday, is going to come from Community Credit Union, and she is going to share with us on keeping your bank and your identity situation safe. And maybe like almost the highlight is we have the privilege of having our state attorney. His name is Will Shiner. He's over the 18th district here in Brevard. He is actually going to come and speak to us. He's the guy that publishes, you see him if you follow us on Facebook or Twitter or some of these other areas. He's the guy who publishes a thing called the Monthly Brief. And every month he is publishing ideas and things about the latest scams and how to stay safe from them. And he, of course, is the one that if there's an ability to prosecute a scammer, he's the one that's on the front lines of his office is doing that. So this is an important event. Like I said, you can call Nancy Deerdorf or one of our great volunteers at 321-473-7777. 770. Maybe there's a last minute cancellation and a chance for you to get in. If you don't make it there, don't worry. We are still scheduled to do 3 more scam jams in 2026. Our objective is to move these around the county. So whether you are listening to us in Titusville, we're going to be there in November. Or if you're in Barefoot Bay, we're going to be there. Or even if you're beachside, we're going to be working together with our friends at Zon Beachside Residences is on in July for a special AI edition of this. So our goal is to keep seniors safe from scams because there literally is so much foolishness out there. And we see the heartbreaking stories when it wipes out somebody's life savings. And it's not that you're stupid when you pick up the phone or respond to something online. It's that those guys are that diabolically evil and good at what they do. So we gotta get ahead of it. So everybody who attends a scam jam becomes a scam jammer, and they receive their own certificate. And we make them raise the right hand and say, "I promise I'm going to do my best to stay safe from scams." ARP is rolling out a thing that they call pause, reflect, and protect. And that's the 3 words that they want you to keep in mind about scams: pause, reflect, and protect. So if you get a call, you get something on your email, don't start clicking, don't start answering. Pause, reflect, and protect. So that's the Scam Jam. What a great program. Again, if you want to see if there's a last minute opportunity for you to get in, give us a call, 321-473-770. We would be so happy to see you. And as I mentioned at the outset, we're getting close to our car raffle season. So this weekend, you will find us both at Praise and Pistons Calvary Chapel Car Show, and you will also find us, that's at the big Calvary Chapel, Melbourne, right there at 2955 Minton Road. That's Saturday morning, 8 to 10. And then we will be Sunday afternoon out at the Tide and Tonic Car Show from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. That's beachside on 1940 Jimmy Buffett Memorial Highway, as they call it now. And so with that, I am so excited to welcome our longtime friend and guest back to the radio. He is just fresh back from giving a big and very important speech in the Oregon area to a group of dentists. Dr. Lee Sheldon is not only the area's leading periodontist, he is I literally call him the father of dental implants. And 40 years ago, he placed his first implant, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But Dr. Sheldon, you are just back from giving a big and important talk to a lot of dentists who you're like always on the cutting edge of everything that's going on. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Kerry. It's good to be back and good to be with you. So, we had an interesting session in Portland, Oregon, at the Oregon Dental Association meeting. And essentially what I talked about was the removal of calculus. Now, this is something you take in math and you senior year of high school. This is actually the removal of the toxic residue that's on the root surface in periodontal disease. And I don't mean to bore you, but we're not doing that very well these days. But we had come up with a method years ago to be able to do it. Some people are doing it around the country, but it's not popular yet. And so my goal at this tender young age is to make sure that the techniques that we've used right here, using periodontal endoscopy and identifying and seeing the calculus below the gum line, because that's really, at this stage, the only way you can remove it and remove it effectively, to make sure that this technique and this technology is adopted nationwide. And so that is I've had a lot of different things I've done over my career to try to get things accepted. And this is this is my goal now, is to take what Rebecca Caudill, our longtime hygienist in our practice, and what our 3 hygienists are accomplishing now, looking below the gum line, seeing the periodontal pocket, seeing the calculus or that residue that's on the root surface, and seeing it and getting it out, and make sure that is adopted nationwide. So it's a tall order, but what the heck? I still like to talk, and we were able to keep everybody's interest, and there was a lot of I didn't know that type of thing, and so that's what occurred. And we got the big meeting coming up in July at the largest dental hygienist meeting in the country, and I will be speaking on the first day there. And so hopefully we get this message out, and we get these techniques and technology adopted. I am so proud of my staff. I'm so proud of Rebecca and what she did to be able to make this work. And of course, our patients benefited because we saved an awful lot of teeth. Me being the father of dental implants, we're saving teeth. We saved a lot of teeth, and we kept a lot of patients out of gum surgery, and that's the goal. Get things clean, let the body heal, and everything works beautifully just by doing those two things.
You know, it's interesting because when Joe Steckler, the founder of Helping Seniors, and actually before that, he was the founder of Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation, and Dr. Sheldon, you were helping him every step of the way, and still help us very much to this day, sitting on our board and helping us try to keep Joe's vision going. As he said, you know, seniors need us more today than ever. But I remember when I first met you, I didn't really understand what a periodontist was. I mean, we would go probably not as regularly as we should have for some sort of a dental cleaning. And we really thought the objective was keep your teeth clean and prevent cavities. And when we got to meet the opportunity of meeting you and your entire team, it was like, wow, we're missing the more important part of the story, I think, which is if you take care of your gums, then that's really the thing that we focus on. But that's not what the ads and things normally show us. And I guess that's ultimately what leads to the business of dental implants, is that then you lose teeth because your gums didn't help the way we wanted it to, and now we have to look for alternatives. Am I saying that right?
You are saying it right, and there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of sales, and there's a lot of hype in periodontal treatment, which bugs the heck out of me, and it's been going on for my entire career, and yet there are certain standards that were dictated by our forefathers in periodontics, saying the root needs to be clean, and that's all you need, or at least that's the fundamental. I shouldn't say that's all you need, but it is the fundamental of treatment. And the fact is, we were not getting the root clean, and now we are, and so everything else can work out very well as well. And so, yeah, so you came in, you discovered us, and you said, "All right, I see what they're doing. That's a little bit different." And of course, the results speak for themselves because, well, I can't talk about your clinical problem. You could talk about that, but the results speak for themselves because essentially a good hygienist, given the correct tools, a good training, and it has to be somebody who's talented, can accomplish a lot of what needs to be done to be able to get periodontal disease totally, and I mean totally, under control.
Yeah, I think that was really kind of like, to be honest, that was a revelation for me and Tammy, is that because we just really didn't understand how important that was. We're just, as a public, I don't think we're trained on that. We're trained to, to try to brush carefully, and we don't understand necessarily about all the things about getting between teeth, getting, having the help to get under the gum line and all those things. And I guess, you and I had done so many radio shows, and before that you have done radio and TV. We've done radio and TV too. But with Joe, you guys have done so many shows, everything ranging from the importance and the usefulness of dental implants, because you guys are also known for creating perfect smiles, and you can do everything on that front to make somebody's smile absolutely beautiful. We've done shows where it's been life-changing. Somebody came in, had a horrible situation going in their mouth. It was keeping them like as night watch people because they didn't want to smile, they didn't want to see anybody, and you do all that work. But actually, one of the most important things I think that you do is we jokingly have said this for years. You were the father of dental implants, and you guys started out, I think it was in the early 80s, because we just talked about 40 years of the practice being around. And now we're celebrating 40-year anniversary of you doing the first implant. And yet through that, we've done programs about implants, and we've done programs called Too Many Implants being done. And I wanted to let's just go back in time and talk about when you were first getting the practice established and you said, okay, we're going to do a dental implant. I mean, that had to be I always go this is not your first rodeo now if somebody comes in, but back then it really was.
No, I took my first course with Dr. Douglas Klepper, who is a general dentist in Augusta, Georgia, and saw what could be done and saw what he was doing. And I was actually there seeing what he was doing. And then we were able to to work with that here. But understand, at that time, when a person was missing back teeth, the only way that those teeth could be replaced was with a removable partial denture. And removable partial dentures are a technique. They snap in over the existing teeth, but most people don't like them, and they certainly don't have chewing efficiencies because they're floating up and down on the ridge. They're attached to the teeth in front of them, but if you're attached the teeth in front of them, then they move up and down, and because they're not in bone, you don't get chewing efficiency. So there was this demand once dental implants came out for this kind of replacement. So I took the course with Dr. Klepper, and then came down here, and very soon afterwards scheduled our first patient. Understand that as a periodontist, we were used to pulling back gum tissue in order to be able to reach root surfaces that might be dirty. But drilling a hole in the bone was not something that I'd ever been trained to do until that time. Now, it's simple. I mean, it sounds awful, doesn't it? Drilling a hole in the bone, my goodness. But understand, whenever there's something that's new, you're relying on the people who did it before you in order to be able to get the guidance on what you should be doing yourself. And so I took the course and spent time seeing what needed to be done and what could be done. And then I got to tell you, Kerry, whenever I've introduced a new technique in our practice, and of course, we've introduced a lot of new things here. You're going over it and over it and over it. You're picturing where the scalper is going to go. You're rehearsing where the gum tissue is going to be. And it's all in your mind. And you just keep on rehearsing it. Oh, what am I going to do here? What am I going to do there? And for that, I went to sleep thinking about that dental implant surgery. And I woke up thinking about that dental implant surgery. So it's a simple surgery today, but at that time, your first one is never simple. It's you're rehearsing it in your mind. But there were a lot of other things that were different at that time as well. Now when we do dental implants, we measure the bone on the CT scan. We see how wide the bone is. We see what the length is of the dental implant that we need to use. And the CT scan, we can take direct measurements and know exactly what implant we should be using. At that time, we didn't have CT scans, so we didn't have any three-dimensional views. I was essentially measuring the distance and how wide the bone was using just hand devices and my eyes to kind of estimate what was going to be there, but we really didn't know until we pulled the gum tissue back. And implants only came one length. They only came in 15 millimeters. That was it. And so if you had 10 millimeters of bone, I had to cut the implant in order to be able to make the right shape and the right size in order to be able to put it in. Fast forward today, we got multiple widths, multiple heights, a lot of different implant designs in order to be able to make them or select the implant that's best for the patient. But at that time, one implant, and I had to make the correct length. It was a process. I mean, what I would do, of course, I don't do surgery anymore. Dr. Furtado does all the surgery in our office and does a beautiful job of it. I haven't done it in years, but what would take 20 minutes now was a 4-hour procedure at that time.
Wow. Yeah. I'm smiling as you're relating this story because we live on the Space Coast, and all of us have enjoyed watching the Artemis mission go around the moon, and what a great victory, and so wonderful to see us back in space. And, but I was thinking too, if you go up to Kennedy Space Center and you talk to some of the folks that were part of the Apollo program, they will be quick to tell you, hey, we got to the moon with computers that had probably less computing power than, a standard wristwatch or standard handheld calculator. And I'm thinking, like, as you're relating the story of dental implants, it just how much, your technology has evolved, and you guys always try to stay very cutting edge. I think you were the first to bring in a perioscope so you could look under gum lines. You're like the first to have a CT scan machine. But back in those days, you were probably like going to the moon with a pocket calculator.
You're absolutely right. You were, because we had templates that we put over regular x-rays in order to be able to estimate what the length of the implant would be. And the template was magnified 25% so we didn't put an implant in that was too long. In other words, we wanted to overestimate the length. I'm sorry, underestimate the length rather than overestimate the length. I mean, that's a piece of plastic on an x-ray in order to be able to determine what implant is going to be put in. Anybody would look at that today and say, what the heck are you doing? What? Wow. How do you even do that? And, it's funny because people come into the office, even today, and they say, boy, all the technology, boy, this is really fantastic. And I say to them, what was fantastic? That we were able to put implants in without this.
Yes. Yeah. And I was thinking, at the time, this was revolutionary. This was really a breakthrough because to your point, people are like, wow, I could really have something that's just like my tooth back in there,
Yeah, it's true. And there are all sorts of rules that people would develop. You needed an implant for every tooth. Well, no, you don't need an implant for every tooth. But at that time, you need an implant for every tooth. Another rule was you could not attach an implant-supported tooth to a natural tooth. And so you'd have to put in more implants in order to be able to do that. Well, that's not true. It's not true in many cases. So we have all these rules that the so-called experts come up with. And then we find out what really works and what really didn't work, and find out later on, oh, that rule isn't really true. Oh, that rule isn't really true. Oh, we can do it this way. But when you're in the moment, you're looking for any guidance from somebody who has a little bit more experience than you do. And it's the nature. I mean, you're talking about the space program, and I'm not going to compare this to the space program. Space program is much more complex than what we do. But at the same time, you're looking for what's the reliable thing. And the guy who has more experience than I do at that time, it would be maybe 6 months or 2 years or something like that. What's that guy saying? And of course, then you would see that guy would change his mind, and then we'd have to change our minds along with that. Yeah. And then finally, the science is developed, and then you have much more reliability. In the meantime, we talked about the fact that we developed CT scans, and we developed ways of using software. We were the first people to do a computer-generated dental implant prosthesis. We were the first ones to do it in Brevard County. Well, and at that time, I can tell you there were reporters. There's a reporter from Florida Today. We had 2 different dental offices in there. We had probably 11, I think it was 11 people in our treatment room to do that first thing. It's a big deal at the time, and you want to be able to provide the best that you can for your patients. And yes, I want to be cutting edge. I mean, you just make that decision, and that's what you do. So on the one side, the first patient who decides to do it, good for that patient. And on our side, wow, we finally got a chance to do this. And then it's always, what's the next step? How can we do this better? How can we do this cleaner? How can we do this faster? And how can we get a better result? And then finally, it's, we gave a lot of credit to dental implants because the dental implants were going to replace root canals. It was going to replace periodontal therapy. No, it didn't. It's a perspective. It's one thing that we can do to replace teeth, but it isn't the only thing we should do. There still is lots of room for saving teeth. And many of us who were there at that time gave dental implants more credit than they really deserved. We would sacrifice teeth more readily for dental implants, and we're finding out today that, in fact, saving teeth has its place. It may have a much larger place than we thought 40 years ago.
Yeah, neat. Well, we're talking with Dr. Lee Sheldon. I always jokingly call him the father of dental implants, but we are talking about the fact that 40 years ago, he placed his first implant. So we're going to come back and explore this topic a little bit below the gum line, if you will, as we go along. But we're about to take our mid-show break here on the Helping Seniors radio show. Thanks for joining us for this. And by all means, if you like the show and you find this informative, you find us on helpingseniors@brevard.org. You can also follow us on Facebook. You can also subscribe on YouTube. And then by all means, stick around because we got more Helping Seniors Radio coming up.
Hey, that music means we're ready to start the second half of today's Helping Seniors of Brevard radio show, heard every Wednesday, 12 noon to 1 o'clock, right here on 90.3 FM. I'm John Harper. Jim Votrell is here. Dr. Lee Sheldon is our special guest. And here is the host of Helping Seniors of Brevard and the executive director as well. It's Kerry Fink. Hey, Kerry.
Hey, thanks, John Harper. Really, we've been having a great conversation in the first half of this radio show with our longtime friend of Helping Seniors, Dr. Lee Sheldon. We have talked about the fact not so long ago that his practice right there, now it's in a beautiful new state-of-the-art facility right there on O'Galley Boulevard, and really expansive. They have everything that you could possibly imagine, kind of keeping with Dr. Sheldon's tradition of always staying state-of-the-art. But many of us remember the location there on Sarno Road where he established a practice. And it wasn't so long ago, we were talking about 40 years of the practice, Dr. Sheldon and Furtado Solid Bite. And then today we're covering the fact that it's about 40 years ago that he began his work in dental implants. And so we often refer to him as the father of dental implants. And we're just having a great conversation because Dr. Sheldon, welcome back. And one of the things that I was saying is, we live here on the Space Coast, so many of us remember the great efforts of all those hundreds of thousands of people working on the space program in the 1960s to get us to the moon before the end of this decade, as the president had said at that point. And we talked about the fact that we went there with about the power of a desktop little calculator that you get for $3 at the dollar store, something now. And now look at the technology. We just came back to the moon. We're ready to go back. And, we make it look easy these days, but I'm sure it wasn't easy when they started out. But I was thinking the same thing. You have so much technology at your fingertips, CT scans. You have all kinds of computer modeling. You have all sorts of things to help you. And yet in those days when you were first feeling your way through it, had to be a completely different world, Dr. Sheldon.
Oh, it's true. If I were looking, I'm picturing this right now, Kerry, and I haven't thought about this for a long time, but I had to estimate how thick the tissue was before I got to bone. And I know that the tissue on average was 3 millimeters on the palatal side of the upper arch and 1 millimeter on the cheek side of the upper arch. And so I would measure with a probe, which was a ruler, and I'd have to subtract 4 from everything I was seeing in order to be able to estimate how wide the bone was. But then when I reflected the flap and actually looked at the bone, then I had to redo those calculations because then I could see it. I mean, you look at this. For me, it was normal. That was what you had to do. But at that time, number one, it required a reasonable amount of surgical technique, and I think I was a pretty good surgeon. But the other part of it was knowing where the implant would fit, and then finally knowing how much bone you needed around the implant in order to get the implant to succeed for a long period of time. All of these things weren't even known at that time. What we knew was we had to drill a hole and put the implant in. That's all we knew. And they were very, compared to what you would have thought. Implants were very successful. I think that was maybe that was good and bad because we could put the implant in and know it was going to succeed right away. It was only later on that we saw, okay, if we do this and we do this and we do this, more implants will succeed for a longer period of time. And I think that's the refinement that occurred. I'm so proud, of what our practice is doing. And it's not because of me, it's because of what the doctors in the practice are doing to take advantage of the science and to be able to make a much more long-term, predictably successful implant. And that's where we are today. So yeah, at that time you're looking at it, you're saying, all right, what do I need to do in order to be able to make this work? And at that time is, how do I drill the hole correctly so the hole is the same size as the dental implant. Fast forward today, that's not what we're thinking about at all. We've got drills that are so precise and the systems are so good that we don't have to worry about that part of it anymore. Now, how do we get this implant to succeed? How do we create the right soft tissue environment? How do we create the right amount of bone in order to be able to make sure that that's going to work and it's going to last for a long period of time? It's funny how your priorities shift. At that time, I'm thinking, how do I drill the hole? We weren't even thinking about where the tooth is going to be at that. Well, to some degree, we're doing that, and now it's all restoratively driven. In other words, we won't put an implant in unless we know that implant is going to emerge from the gum line where the tooth would be. So many different thought processes that we've done over the past 40 years in order to be able to get where we are. But we had to start someplace, and we did. And I'm proud of what my staff did. I'm proud of what everybody in our practice did then and did now and is doing now in order to be able to create the successful environment that we've had. And yeah, the state-of-the-art office of 3912 West O'Galley Boulevard. Wow, it was just fantastic, and I wouldn't have dreamed about that either when I first opened that practice at 2223 Sarno Road. So a lot of changes.
It has to be an amazing look back over all the success. And yet one of the funny things, Dr. Sheldon, because you and I have done, there's a TV show we did called Too Many Dental Implants being done. And it's interesting because even though you are and still are the leading provider of dental implants in Brevard County, you are always taking a kind of, hey, not so fast. Let's be sure this is the right thing, because you did learn that there, it's interesting because everybody always gravitates to the hottest, latest craze. And of course, this is the thing you do. And then after a little bit of time, people go, maybe we got to rethink some parts of this. And so that was one of the things that you and I have talked about so often about sometimes there are limitations with dental implants. And oftentimes if you see a TV commercial, they're like, oh, do your whole teeth in a mouth, do your whole teeth, your whole mouth in a day kind of thing. And it negates some of the thought that needs to go in behind it, because it's not just the perfect magic bullet. You have to think through this as well.
It's true. It's not, can you do it? The answer is yes, you can do it. It's what's going to provide, because we do full implants and we've been doing it for a long, long time. But it's when should you decide it? What's the thinking process in deciding whether that's the best approach or not? And so I was very proud to be the leading dental implant practice in terms of numbers for many, many years. And I think we still are, at least according to our dental implant salesman. That we're doing more dental implants, but I think we're prouder of the fact that we can evaluate a patient and we can give options, both saving as well as extracting and replacing with dental implants, so that the best decision is made. I think we've fallen victim to marketing, and so has everybody who looks at all the commercials. Oh, all I have to do is extract the teeth, I'll get a full smile, and everything's going to be okay. No, it's not. It's not going to be for many people when teeth could have been saved, and that's why you see me now going across the country talking about saving teeth and what we can do there, because there's a lot of credibility to being able to look at a patient and program a patient out for their entire lifetime, rather than just say at the age of 30 or 35, let's extract these teeth and put in dental implants because we know they're permanent. They're not. They're subject to disease just like teeth are. And so we have to be really careful, and we have to evaluate, and we have to make the correct decision for the patient. And we have to let the patient know what we think is going to happen now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and for the rest of the patient's lifetime, in order to be able to help that patient make the right decision for him or herself.
That's why I was thinking about the fact that when we have talked about this in the past, one of the kind of revolutionary thoughts, at least for us, as we got to know you and the practice that you built, was the fact that again, historically, all the toothpaste commercials told us brush carefully so you can go to the dentist and get a good report card. And that's, based on the number of cavities you didn't have. And yet, that misses the bigger part of the story about what's going on below the gum line. And so, part of the focus, obviously, of what you do as a periodontist and in the practice is help us to maximize the health of the roots of our teeth, meaning what's below the gum line, as really a primary thing. But then, as I've understood when we've talked about dental implants, the gum health thing is still a consideration. Just because you have implants doesn't mean you can ignore all that. In fact, there can be problems that come up below the gum line, right?
Yeah, it's absolutely true. First of all, let's go back to basics here. 42% of the people in the United States have periodontal disease. 42% of the people over the age of 30 have periodontal disease. So it's one of the most prevalent diseases that we have in the United States. And so we've got to look at that part of it first. The second part of it is if a patient is losing teeth due to periodontal disease, then there is something called periodontal disease of the dental implant called periimplantitis. And if a person loses his or her teeth due to periodontal disease, he or she is far more prone to getting periimplantitis. And it's much more difficult to control periimplantitis, meaning inflammation of the dental implant, than it is periodontitis, which is the inflammation and loss of bone support for the natural tooth. So particularly if a patient is losing teeth due to periodontal disease, that needs to be looked at carefully. Do those teeth really need to be lost? And my topics when I'm talking around the country is the assumptions that you're making are that people are going to lose teeth due to periodontal disease are not true. And let me show you why, and let me show you what we've done in our practice. Because if we can get a patient who has periodontal disease and we can stop it, and in some cases even reverse it, you're doing the patient a far better service than you are extracting the teeth and putting in dental implants, knowing those dental implants are going to be more prone to periodontal or periimplantitis.
Right. It seems like the battle cry should be, let's save natural teeth, wherever that's sensible and possible. And yet, so often, I guess, Dr. Sheldon, with your full career of this, you've seen so many people come in and say, I just have so many mouth problems, just yank these teeth out and stick something in that's going to work. And we're so desperate for an immediate solution that we might harm ourselves in the long run by not taking a minute and really thinking about, like, what's the best approach here.
Yeah, you can. And it's true. And you've got to be able to guide the patient, unfortunately, based on fees as well. How much is it going to cost? So if we're talking about saving a single tooth or extracting a single tooth and putting a dental implant when there's disease in other teeth as well, you got to tell the patient, hey, here's what the bill is going to be over the next 5 or 10 years. Before we decide on saving this tooth, let's make sure that's the right approach. Dentures are still there and dentures can still be done. And when the budget doesn't allow for some of the fancy reconstructions that we do, whether it's necessary or indicated or not, if the budget won't handle it, I'd rather be able to help the patient right at the beginning make the best decision for him or herself. I've had a number of patients who decided they couldn't afford to do what we were going to do, and instead we did dentures. And the whole idea was we're going to do dentures, but then later on you could have the dental implants if your situation, your financial situation improves. And so you want to be able. That's why it's so important to be able to program over a period of time rather than just say, here's the immediate thing that you need. Very easy to make a snap judgment. You need a root canal, you need periodontal treatment, you need this, you need that. But you've got to consider what's going on in the entire mouth first so the patient can plan correctly. And that's what Joe Steckler and what you have done for helping seniors in Brevard. It's putting that plan in place. What do you call that? Getting your ducks in a row? Is that what you...
Yeah, getting your ducks in a row, or let's make an aging plan, right?
That's right. And we've got to make a dental aging plan as well. It's why we spend so much time at the beginning giving the patient a full understanding as to where he or she is, so that the long-term plan is there rather than making snap judgments. The only time you really have to make a snap judgment is when the patient is in pain. And when the patient's in pain, you're deciding, do you save the tooth or do you not? Do you do a root canal? Do you not? But if the patient is in pain and you see a bunch of other teeth that are badly diseased, much better to extract that tooth and in that case and get the rest of the teeth healthy rather than concentrate on one tooth and let everything go. So it is the thinking process that's more important. We talked about how it took me 4 hours to do the first dental implant, and good. All right, it took me 4 hours, but I would rather spend the time at the beginning understanding whether in fact the dental implant is the right decision for that patient, knowing that Dr. Furtado and my son, Dr. Coelho, are going to do a beautiful job in restoring, but we want to make sure it's the right decision for them first before we take that first step.
Yeah, I'm thinking this is a good point to bring out something that's very beneficial to the Helping Seniors organization. It's a program that you guys do called Solid Bite Gives Back, because what it does is it's a win-win-win for everybody, because we've talked so often that you really prefer to really do a comprehensive evaluation and really kind of get like, where are we trying to wind up roadmap going, as opposed to, well, this is the thing we can do that calms things down for the next 20 seconds. And so you explained that as a practice, it's very difficult for you to get the information that you need to make that kind of a roadmap unless you're willing to sit down and spend a couple of hours with the patient, use all this technology that you have, the CT scans and all the other tools, to really figure out where this patient is coming from and then come up with a plan that's going to work for them. And so you've explained to me that that's literally $700-800 worth of dental office time when you count all the people, all the equipment, all the tools that are necessary to do that. And you say, but without that, I'm only half guessing. And so the program that you came up with, Solid Bite Gives Back, does that because it lets you spend those those hours that are necessary to make sure we get to the right place. It also helps the patient because now the patient really knows where they are at and what might be the best next steps. But the beneficiary of all that is Helping Seniors. Talk about the Solid Bite Gives Back program.
Yeah, the Solid Bite Gives Back program has been in place for many years now. And the whole idea was the expense of the examination that I want to do was becoming cost prohibitive. And so I said, the heck with this. Let's just donate $50 or more to Helping Seniors of Brevard, and I'll do the whole thing for nothing. And the whole idea was not for lost leader. That isn't the idea. The whole idea was I was not going to have a patient come in and say, all right, the examination is this. Okay, now I need a CT scan. Now I need a full mouth x-rays. I need this. I need that. I would rather the patient know up front what the costs are going to be for the examination. And we only do the examination one way. Everybody coming into the practice, whether they see me or whether they see the other 3 doctors in our practice, are doing the same examination, the same thorough examination. We want the full evaluation to be done. And so when we decided that we were not going to charge for this and for that and for each individual item that we needed, because we need all those items, and radiation is very low these days. And so we have the opportunity of doing the diagnostics that we do. We said, all right, let's make this into a charitable giving campaign, which became Solid Bite Gives Back. Donate $50 to Helping Seniors of Brevard, and you'll get the examination, all the x-rays, at no charge, and again, a good comprehensive evaluation and a full treatment plan. And that way, it's worked out very well for Helping Seniors as well as the other charities that we support. And I think we're over $300,000 in charitable donations. So good for our patients and good for the charities. They have the opportunity, and we have the opportunity of doing the examination the way we feel it needs to be done in order to be able to help you plan correctly for the future.
Yeah, well, no, we really appreciate it and think it's just total win-win-win for everybody. If somebody wanted to maybe schedule that or learn more about it, what do they do? Do they just reach your office or?
There are lots of different ways these days, but let's go with the traditional way. Give the office a call at 321-259-8000 and say you're interested in the Solid Bite Gives Back program. And our staff will be able to lead you right through that. It's very easy. What you're going to do is either charge the $50 or more, or you're going to bring a check for $50 or more in order to be able to take advantage of this program. And that's the entire program. That's it. It's $50 or more. I keep on saying or more, because if we're doing an $800 examination, hey, give the charity more than the $50. Okay, yeah. This started as $50 15 or 20 years ago. Give them more. Let the charity have what they need in order to be able to do what they need to do. And we promise you that whether you spend $50 or $100 or $200 or more, you're going to get every penny's worth, because you're going to be able to make the right decisions for yourself and for the future.
Good. So again, one more time, the number to reach the office and sign up or get information or whatever would be useful as the next step. How do they do that again?
321-259-8000.
Okay, so back to implants. Now, I guess the question is, if somebody comes into your office, they're having a problem with the tooth, they're going to sit there and try to go, well, do I just yank it out and put the implant in, or do we try to save this teeth? And, what are the considerations? I think we touched on some of them, right? It would be like the overall condition. Is this going to hit other teeth? But what else are we thinking about as the patient when we come in with a question like that?
In the first place, it is, what's the extent of the disease in the mouth? In other words, is it involving only this tooth, or do we have multiple teeth that have disease? Because if we have multiple teeth that have disease, then it's one set of decisions. If it's only a single tooth, it's another decision. If I'm looking at a single tooth, if the tooth has major decay, and it's going to require a great deal of work and even surgery in order to be able to save that tooth, including root canals and things like things like that. Then we have to do a root canal, if we do have to do gum surgery, if we're going to then put a crown on the tooth, that's a lot of procedures to do on one tooth. And so sometimes in that case, it's better and even less expensive and certainly more predictable to extract the tooth and do the dental implant. So that's a judgment call, and that's when we're looking and we say, all right, what's going to be better for you? What do we think is going to be the better long-term result? Very often, as you know, Chris Naglieri who's an endodontist, root canal specialist, has spoken with us and did a Healthy Seniors Brevard program last year. Yeah, and so we're very proud that we save a lot of teeth, and Dr. Naglieri gets an awful lot of work from us. Interesting, we have a large dental implant practice, and I think we're probably the best referral source for the endodontists in town. But it all comes first. What's the right thing to do? And then we'll write up a detailed treatment plan as to how it should be done. And by the way, when we refer out to other dentists, and we do for other specialty work, we refer out to endodontists and orthodontists, then we're writing the entire treatment plan. Here's what I'm thinking. Here's what should be done. Now, of course, they have the right to do whatever they want to do, but they have an entire treatment plan from us as well. So when we're working with outside specialists or outside general dentists, exactly the same thing. Here is the sequence of events, the way we look at it today. Then the doctor will look at it, and there's modifications that need to be made. Then they make modification based on our treatment plan, but 97+% of the time, or probably more than that, the treatment plan that we've decided in the office, whether it's going to involve our care only or whether we're going to use outside specialists for things that we don't do, all the planning is done in our office, so you can make the correct decision for yourself.
Yeah. Well, let's put a little bow on it. After 40 years, what would you want patients to understand the most about all of this?
I think that dental implants are fantastic, and the fact that dental implants continue to become improved and the techniques that we use continue to be improved, I think it's a more reliable restoration than it ever has been in the past when you do it correctly and when you plan it correctly. And so the other perspective is, what's the right decision for you? And that's where it takes skill and time and judgment to make the best decision for yourself.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. Well, thank you, Dr. Lee Sheldon, for sharing with us on this great topic today. I want to encourage people to have a visit at drleesheldon.com. That's a great way to get directly into all the good things that are available there and get some understanding. You got a lot of learning materials on that site as well, but it's drleesheldon.com. So it's easy enough to remember Dr. Sheldon when people get on the internet. So I just want to take just a real quick moment to share a couple of dates for you to keep up with. Of course, you must have October 25th, 2026 on your calendar because that is the date of the 10th annual Helping Seniors Car Raffle at the American Muscle Car Museum. And so ticket sales are open at helpingseniors.carraffle.com. Get yours today. Support the work of Helping Seniors and plan to join us. It's going to be a wonderful Sunday afternoon at the museum out there at 3500 Sarno Road. It's always a great time. It's going to be bigger and better this year because they've given Bill Antonette's permission to bring even more cars out. And speaking of that, on Saturday, June 27th, we're having an open house at the Helping Seniors Senior Resource Center right there at 1344 South Apollo Boulevard. And Bill Antonette's is going to bring several hundred cars out there too because it's a doctor's office and we can take over the parking lot on the weekends. We're going to have fun outside with car show. We're going to have fun inside with being able to tour the office. And Chef Jillian has invited some of her top restaurateurs, and it's going to be a fun fundraising experience for Helping Seniors called Cars and Cuisine and Community, we're calling it. So that's the time we have for Helping Seniors Radio this time, but make sure you get those dates, June 27th and October 25th on your calendar, and we'll see you soon next week right here for lunchtime on Helping Seniors Radio.